My name is Alfred Hall, the co-founder of HUGS, Hamilton Urban Garden Systems, here in Hamilton, Ohio. And today we're going to show you how to do a raised box garden using Mel Bartholomew's square foot gardening techniques. Hope you enjoy it. And this is Dayton Lane Garden Apartment. This is where we're going to put in our raised box using Mel Bartholomew's square foot gardening techniques. I want to warn you in advance, this is an urban area. You may hear trains go by, you may hear traffic, you may hear people talking loudly, but we're in an urban setting, and we'll do our best to make sure that at least you can hear the instructions and see the demonstration on how to be successful at raised box gardening in an urban setting, which is where we're at. I hope you enjoy it. You can purchase a box anywhere from $50 to $150, but we're going to build this one from scratch. You don't need a lot of material or a lot of tools, but I'll go through what you do need. You're going to need a drill, and if you haven't pre-cut your wood, you'll need a saw. You're going to need a hammer, a tape measure, a pair of scissors. I'm using a clamp to hold the boards together because I'm doing it by myself. Some gloves, some bits, a hand trowel, a hammer, some twine to make the grids, and some bamboo shoots for temporary trellising, screws, nails, and some brackets to hold the trellis on. And obviously you'll need some wood for your box, and for your grow mix you're going to need peat moss, at least medium grade agricultural vermiculite, coarse grade is better, and your nutrients, which I use the cow, which is a blend of peat and composted manure, and some buckets. You could use a wheelbarrow and a shovel also if you need it to mix your material. I usually mix it by hand. So that's really about all you need. So we're going to get started now and show you how to build a box. All right, so we're going to build our 4x4 2x8 raised box now. It's been linseed oiled to preserve it so it'll last longer. I'm using a clamp to hold the boards together that I'm going to attach. I'm using a 2x4 block to screw into, and I've labeled my corners so that I'm putting it together in the same way as when I laid it out to drill my pilot hole so that I could screw easier with the screwdriver. So now it's simply a matter of connecting the boards together in a square level way so I have my 4 foot by 4 foot box. All right, that's the last of the screws. The box is attached together. So now normally what you would do is take some cardboard or landscape cloth or wet newspaper and lay it on the ground so that's under the box and extends a little bit out. That would keep the weeds down. But since we already have soil from the old box, we're going to use this soil and fit this box around it. Since it's good soil, just add to it before we plant. All right, we laid the box down on the ground. But before we did that, since the old box was 3 foot wide and 6 foot long, we needed to lay cardboard down around the extra space because this is 4 foot by 4 foot to keep the weeds down. So now we have cardboard around the whole box, the old grow mix, grow medium inside, and now I'm going to show you how to mix the normal mix you would use to put in the box. The normal mix you put in a raised box consists of peat moss for moisture retention, agricultural vermiculite, medium grade minimum and preferably coarse grade, and manure. That's the nutrients. The nutrients come from the manure, aeration in the plants, something to hold on to is the vermiculite, and the peat moss is for moisture. You take by volume 1/3 each, mix it together, put it in your box, wet it down well because it doesn't wet very well if you let it fill all the way up and then try to wet it, and keep doing that till you fill the box. A 4 foot by 4 foot 6 inch deep box takes about 8 cubic feet, which would be basically 3 cubic feet of peat moss, 3 cubic feet of vermiculite, 3 cubic feet of manure. This is an 8-inch box. It takes about 10 cubic feet, so you got about 3.5 cubic feet of peat moss, 3.5 cubic feet of vermiculite, and 3.5 cubic feet of manure. Get big bags. It's cheaper. You only have to go once instead of trying to buy the little 48-quart bags, which will cost you a fortune. Grows really well in a raised box. That's the mix we're going to mix now and put in the raised box. All right, I've taken a bucket of the peat moss, 5-gallon bucket, a 5-gallon bucket of the vermiculite, and I had about a half a bag of cow left over from another place that I put a garden in. I dumped that in, so now I'm going to empty a bag of the cow in also. So by volume, it's about the same, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. I'm going to mix it all, put it in the box, mix it all together, and I'll keep doing that till I fill the box. You could also mix this in a wheelbarrow with a shovel. You can put it on a tarp and roll it. Whatever way you feel comfortable mixing it, but get a good mix so it's all mixed together. Dump it in the box, soak it down good. Keep doing it till you get the box filled. Try to stay upwind. Instead of scissors, sometimes a little cutter comes in handy. The reason I use a whole bag of cow is it's got peat and manure in it. Now I'm just going to mix it together. All right, we finished leveling the box, filled it with soil, leveled it, box is down. What makes this box so efficient is thinking in squares instead of rows when you plant. So this is a 4 foot by 4 foot box, 16 square feet. I'm now going to mark off the box in 1 foot squares and grid it so I have 16 squares to plant in. Once I do that, then we'll talk about planting and how you plant in squares versus rows. I've already done some sides of the box. I've left one piece of string to cut and one measurement to cut to make, so you understand how we did it. But basically what you do is you measure off 1 foot and put a mark on all 4 sides of the box. At 1 foot, 2 foot, and 3 foot. 1 foot, 2 foot, and 3 foot. 1 foot, 2 foot, and 3 foot, all the way around. Once you do that, you drive a nail. You can use staples. You can use anything that will hold the string down to form your squares. You could also use twine or Venetian blinds or lats. There's a lot of things you can use. I'm using twine, little nails, 1 foot squares. So I left one side here to measure off at 1 foot, 2 feet, and 3 feet, like so. Now I'm going to drive nails, and I'm going to stretch the twine from that side of the box to this side of the box and complete my grid. Driven nails down at the 1 foot, 2 foot, and 3 foot marks on 3 sides and attached twine to make my grids. I'm driving in my last 3 nails now. And I'm going to stretch the twine and tie it to this side. and I'll do the other two and my grid will be finished. All right, so we now have our grid. The thing about a grid is you can plant a different number of vegetables of different varieties in one square. An extra large vegetable or fruit or herb, tomato, squash, things like that, takes up 4 of these squares. Something like a sweet pepper would take up 1 of these squares. Something like lettuce, you can actually, leaf lettuce, you could put 4 in a square because they're smaller, they're medium size. Little to the large, but medium. Smaller still, like spinach, you could put 9 to a square. And then very small things like radish, onions, and carrots, you can put 16 in a 1-foot square. It's all determined by the spacing on the back of the seed packet. So if the spacing on the back of the seed packet says 2 feet between, use 4 squares. If it says 1 foot between, 1 per square. If it says 6 inches between, 4 per square. If it says 3 inches between, 9 per square. If it says 2 inches between each plant, 16 per square. So that's how it works. All right. If you do an extra large plant, tomato, cucumbers, it's best to trellis them. We're not going to build a trellis today. If you're interested, you'll have our contact information. Call us or Facebook us. We'll be happy to show you how to do that. Today we'll stake them temporarily so we can get them in the ground. So in this particular box, I'm going to plant 3 tomatoes in the back 6 squares. These are tomatoes. They've hardened off outside, which means I've taken them outside and slowly introduced them to sunlight over a 7-10 day period to get them used to the sun. They're now ready to plant. So I'm going to plant one about in the middle of those 4 squares, one in the middle of those 4 squares, and we're going to sort of overlap them because they will grow. But I would never put more than 3 in a 6-foot square, 8-foot square area. Excuse me. It's not 6, it's 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. So those 3 tomatoes will go there. This year, I'm trying bush cucumbers, so I don't have to trellis them. I may have to stake them with a stake, but they need about 18 inches in between each other. So I'm going to go up to my first free square because I'm using 4 per tomato, and I'll center these 3 cucumbers about like so, along that row. So I got 3 tomatoes, which I will trellis later, stake for now. 3 bush cucumbers, which I will stake temporarily for now, larger, stronger stakes later. Now I have 4 squares left that I can plant scallions, 16, carrots, 16, 2 leaf lettuce or 8 bunches of leaf lettuce, or whatever I decide to plant. For today, this is what I'm going to plant, and temporarily I will stake them. I went ahead and planted my 3 tomatoes. I actually had 4 cucumbers, and bush cucumbers are anywhere from 12 to 18 inches. So they're all 12 inches apart. They'll be fine, they'll grow. Now I'm going to show you how I planted. All my plants that are plants, I plant the same way. So I'm going to show you how I planted them and how I use a stake. These are temporary stakes. They'll need heavier stakes later or a trellis to at least hold them up and make sure that they grow nice and straight and steady and don't get blown over. It's pretty simple. All I do is I take my hand or a trowel, if you don't like to get your hands in the dirt, and I dig myself a little hole. Did that the same for all of these. Tomatoes I plant a little deeper, because tomatoes you can plant deep. I put some water in for the plant, let it soak in a little bit. Always take your plants out the way I'm showing you. This one already has a temporary stake in it with a pipe cleaner. So I'm gonna take this stake out. Always mark your plants so you know what they are. Some plants look alike. This whole row is marked as Space Saver cucumbers. Each one of those tomatoes are a different type. They have their own marker. And I'll use this marker here, American Beauty eggplant, for this eggplant. Hold your plant, turn your pot over, look to see if it's root bound. If it's root bound, squish the roots. This one isn't really root bound. Roots are nice and loose. Throw it in the hole. Press it down a little bit, break it up. Bring your soil around it. Lightly press it down, like so, making a saucer shape around the stem, so when you water, the water stays right there and goes down to the roots. Stake, did the same for all these. Nice and close to the stem. Push her down. I use zip ties, you can use pipe cleaners, string, whatever you're comfortable with. Find a side shoot. Side shoot. Wrap your zip tie around above that tie shoot. Loosely tie it because that stem's going to get larger. And that'll hold it up straight. I did the same for the tomatoes. Cucumbers are a little small yet, but I put my stakes in. When they get a little bit bigger, I'll go ahead and zip tie those up. Take your water, saucer shape. See how most of the water stays there? I can dam it up a little if I want. Stays right there, goes right down to the roots. And that's how you plant plants. Now I also have 3 squares left. Remember, you'll probably have to use heavier stakes or trellises later on these plants. If you have bugs, neem oil is a good organic pesticide. You can also make some home brew. I use hot peppers, garlic, and water, a little bit of dish detergent, and make a mixture. There's a lot of different do-it-yourself mixtures that are organic you can use for pest control. When you water, if they look wilty, water them. If they look yellow, you're probably watering too much. Keep your eye out for bugs and bug holes in your plants. If you see them, use pesticides. Water in the morning and the evening. I usually water right at the roots. I try to keep my leaves dry. Cuts down on fungus and mildew. And the plants like it that way. So I plant my plants and I go around in the morning. If they look like they need water, I'll add a cup or 2 more in the hot weather than the cool weather. And look out for pests. Pick off dead leaves. As they grow, add more zip ties or string or whatever you use. Keep them staked up nice and straight, and you should be good. I'm going to plant in this square lettuce. Leaf lettuce is 6 inches apart. So I'm going to put 4 leaf lettuce in this box. I'll take it out of the jar in a minute. I'm also going to plant some scallions. Scallions are 2 inches apart, so you can get 16 in a square. I've already made 4 rows of 4 holes and put 15 scallions in there. I'll finish them off here in a second. When you plant a scallion, this is the bottom, this is the top. Always plant this down. When you plant your scallions, you do not have to plant them deep. Put them in the hole, push them down till they're just going to be covered with earth. All points up, all roots down. Lightly cover them with soil. Gently pat. Now these you water slightly differently until they get a little bit bigger. I use a watering can. I try not to use tap water. If I do, I leave it out 24 hours. I try to use sun-warmed water, so I'll fill up a 5-gallon bucket at night. Next day I'll use it to water, fill it back up, use it the next day. These though, I'm going to lightly use my sprinkling can, wet them down. Voila, scallions are planted. Leaf lettuce. Leaf lettuce are very small seeds. All right. You do not want to plant a lot of leaf lettuce. You don't want to plant a lot of seeds in any hole. The more seeds you plant, the more you have to thin, and you have to thin or it won't grow correctly. So I just use my fingers. I'll put some in my hand in a second and just take a little pinch. Watch now. See that? Maybe 5 or 6 seeds, 7 or 8 seeds, and that's all that I'm going to put in that hole. And that'll be plenty. All right. I'll add a marker to these later. They're in the car and I'm too lazy to go get them. So again, just lightly cover. These are about 1 inch deep. First knuckle is 1 inch. That's about as far down as you're going to have to go. Sometimes with a large seed, you might go down to your second knuckle, 2 inches, but 1 inch is more than enough. Look at the seed packet. It'll tell you how deep. Plant your seed. Lightly cover them over. Add it down. And just like scallions, I'm going to use my watering can until the leaf lettuce gets larger. Two things about scallions and leaf lettuce, and carrots for that matter, which is what I'll plant the last one. Scallions, as they grow and you pull 1 or 2 or 3 to use it, replace it with a little scallion bulb, and you'll have scallions all summer long. If you've got a large family, you're going to need more than 1 square, but if it's just you, 16 scallions, you're not going to use them all at once probably. As you pull them, put another one in. You'll have scallions all year long. Lettuce. 4-leaf lettuce will give you a small salad. If you got more than 1 person, you'll need to put more leaf lettuce in. As leaf lettuce grows, the grow line is from the center of the leaf lettuce, and you can see the new leaves coming out of the middle of the plants. You can grab that leaf lettuce above that grow line, use scissors and cut it off, and it'll still keep growing. So you can harvest that leaf lettuce 2-3 times before you have to replant it. And carrots are like scallions. When you pull 1 to use it, put a couple seeds in. When the carrots sprout, thin to 1 carrot per. Let it grow, and you can have carrots all summer long. The best kind of carrot seed to get is pellet. You can put 1 per hole. You don't have to worry about thinning it, because carrot seed, you'll never just get 1 into the hole. So that's how you plant. That's how you water. Staking, trellising, tying them up, watering. And here in this 1 4-foot by 4-foot area, we have 3 tomatoes, 4 cucumbers, 1 eggplant, four leaf lettuce plants, more than that, but 4 groups of leaf lettuce plants, 16 scallions, and I'll end up with about 12 carrots because this block will get in my way in that square. All in one box. Maintain it like any garden. That's it. Water, look for pests, get rid of the dead leaves, harvest it when it's ready, replace it if you use it. You're good to go all summer long. That's it. I wanted to give you one more example of how you can garden just about anywhere. This is a raised box that we have on our balcony at our apartment, along with 2 containers, one that we're growing tomatoes in and one that we're growing cucumbers in. The box is 2 by 6 and the containers are fairly large, and then we have some oregano and basil hanging on the railing of our balcony. So I just want to show you, you really can garden anywhere using raised boxes or containers. Thanks to Wild Birds Unlimited for sharing this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy gardening, everyone.